Deep within a dense forest, there stood a small wooden house. Two sisters lived in this very home. Their world seemed small, but their responsibilities were immense. Their father had departed from this world in their early childhood, and only a few months prior their mother had also left them for good. Now, the two sisters had only each other to rely on. Every single morning she would go deep into the forest, cut down wood from the trees, and then travel to a nearby village to sell it. This was her primary means of earning a living, and the only true reality of her entire life. The work was arduous, but she persevered with patience, for she had no other option. One day, while cutting wood, she reached the river bank. There, an old book, flowing with the water, caught her eye. The astonishing thing was that despite being in the water, the book was completely dry. He picked up the book in his hands. On its very first page, it was written, "In return for time, every single one of your wishes will be granted." The two sisters were left completely astonished. They couldn't fully grasp the true meaning of this particular statement. They just felt that this book could fulfill every single wish. On this day, both sisters were extremely tired. Their arms ached, and even lifting their feet felt difficult. After a moment of silence, one sister hesitantly suggested, "Why don't we try this book just once? Who knows? Maybe it will truly fulfill our wish." The second sister immediately replied in a very serious tone, "No, we really shouldn't get ourselves involved in such matters. We need to focus on our own work, you know. If we don't cut and sell wood, how will the stove burn? You know we don't have time for idle talk." The first sister remained silent for a few moments. Then she slowly said, "I'm just saying it this one time. If nothing comes of it, we'll immediately start working. What harm could possibly come to us from this?" The two sisters sat in silence for a little while. Then one sister, looking towards the other, remarked, "If we are truly going to make a wish, it should be done with wisdom. A wish that could make our hard work a little bit easier." The other sister nodded, saying, "Yes, absolutely. We spend half our day cutting trees, and then carrying heavy logs to distant villages is also very difficult." The first sister, looking at her tired hands, said, "If we didn't have to struggle cutting trees and the wood was already cut, we could reach more villages and earn more in less time." The second sister thought for a moment, then said, "Yes, that's a good wish. This will save time and reduce physical effort." The two sisters looked at each other and, in unison, said, "Then we wish for pre-cut logs." Moments later, a huge stack of firewood lay before them. They both stood there, stunned in amazement. Fear, joy, and wonder filled their hearts all at once. One sister joyfully exclaimed, "This book is truly granting our wishes." The other sister's eyes lit up. She smiled and said, "Now our lives will become easy. We won't have to work so hard anymore." They carefully placed the magical book inside their home, then picked up the cut wood and headed towards the village. Today, there was no need to cut down any trees. Because of this, she had much more time than on typical days. Normally, she could only visit 2 villages in a day, but on this particular day, due to the south time, she managed to sell wood in 5 different villages. By evening, her earnings were significantly better than usual. However, on her way back, her steps were noticeably faltering. Today's fatigue was far greater than on normal days. Although it wasn't the strenuous effort of cutting wood, the long journey and heavy load had completely worn out their bodies. The earnings were good, but the exhaustion was even greater. By the time she reached home, the sun had already set. She was so tired that even the thought of cooking seemed like an impossible task. One sister wished, "Oh, if only we could get a ready-made meal." The other, in a tired voice, replied, "Yes, I have no strength left today." Suddenly, a delicious aroma filled the room, and hot food appeared before them. Both were utterly astonished. Now they were convinced that the book truly fulfilled wishes. A few days later, one sister said, "If we had a donkey, carrying wood would be much easier." The very next moment, a donkey stood outside the house. Then they wished that the wood would load itself onto the donkey, and it began to happen. Now the hard work was almost over. Life was easy, and it slowly grew dull. Food, cleaning, everything began to happen by mere wish. Soon they completely stopped working and only demanded comfort, good food, and expensive jewelry. In just a short while, she began to look much older than her years. She then realized that with every single wish, her age was increasing. But their greed, however, did not stop. They asked for immense wealth, then wished for a magnificent palace. The palace was built, but they both instantly grew old. With a frail body and tears, she looked at the book. "We gave up trying. This was our undoing." Overwhelmed by regret, she reached the riverbank and threw the book into the water. As the book fell, everything changed. She returned to her true age, just like the very first moment. They made a promise we would never again live a life without effort. After this, she returned to a simple yet hard-working life. By then, she had come to understand the temptation of ease could prove costly.
It is, and hard work is the only true peace. And if you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments how much you liked this tale. Your single like and subscription gives us the motivation to create more meaningful, engaging, and moral-rich stories. Soon we will be back with a new story where you will again enjoy fun, lessons, and the magic of a wondrous world.